it's not time to go home yet. Just stay with me for a moment. I never thought I'd find what I was looking for, but this feeling can't afford to leave. I came here with a 20 in my pocket. Didn't want to stay too long, I knew that I would drop it. Check myself out in the reflection of a liquor bottle. Saw a real sad girl, a big pill to swallow, yeah. But when you took my hand, walked me over to the dance floor, I put on a smile, never knew I had before. You said it's not time to go home yet, yeah. Just stay with me for a moment. Don't turn around, it's only the two of us. Just stay with me for a moment. I know I'm bound to ruin it, so just stay here. Just a moment. As long as this place is open, I'll keep you close. And we'll hold on to this moment. You hold me, feels like forever. Are you here to find forever? I will never know, cause I'm scared to take you home when you hit me on my phone, but I guess I'll never know. They turn the volume up when we're talking. The music playing louder, not planning on stopping. It's getting pretty late, I don't even know your name, but I'm living in the moment, I want you to stay. Ooh, it's in a real bad vibe. Came in with my head down, anxiety high. Just about to leave, was about to leave. I'm so happy you noticed me. But when you took my hand, walked me over to the dance floor, I put on a smile, never knew I had before. You said it's not time to go home yet. Stay with me for a moment. Don't turn around, it's only the two of us. Just stay with me for a moment. I know I'm bound to ruin it, so just stay here. Just stay with me for a moment. Please make a move, cause I don't have the courage. Don't wanna be wondering what could have been in the morning. You said it's not time to go home yet. Just stay with me for a moment. It's not time to go home yet. Go home yet. Don't go home yet. Go home yet. Just stay with me for a moment.
Hello and welcome back to Record Label Boss. I forgot to turn on the microphone there. Hello and welcome to the Friday show. And boy, do we have some interesting topics to cover today. So thank you so much for joining me today on a wonderful Friday just before your weekend begins. I want to say hello to everybody on Reddit there. I want to say hello to everybody who's on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook and all the other channels that we broadcast to. Thank you so much for joining me today. As you can see, we have a little bit of a different set today because that is because we're again streaming through OBS Studio. That gives us the possibility to have 3 different camera perspectives. Essentially, we will have a total here. Here we have a little bit of a zoomed-in camera, and we have a side cam that for the first time we used on Max Beauty Stream. So if I want to show something, I can do that as well. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about something that came up just about an hour ago. As I was sitting and having supper, as the British say, or dinner, as the people say. Hey, Mike. And also we're going to talk about Mike D and his band Karma's Tea, who released the single Magic today. It's going to be really, really cool. And thank you for following Miss Dina. That is very nice of you to follow Misty. And Misty and Mike have released a new single today. We're going to talk about that as well. So today we're going to do reviewing of music. We're going to do the Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson Spotify controversy. And we're going to talk about the new single by Karma's Tea. That's, of course, Miss Dina Soul and Mike D right here. And their single Magic, and maybe if they stick around, what their future plans are gonna be like. And Misty says, "I knew you were gonna talk about the Joe Rogan thing." Yeah, I mean, it's just too good to pass up, right? I was sitting there eating my Friday supper, and there are these two guys that I've been following for a while, and I'm gonna give my thoughts on what they did on Spotify and the entire situation in a little bit. By the way, if you're interested, you're very welcome to participate in the chat. It's going to be an interesting thing today. We have artists, managers, fans, all kinds of people here in the chat room. I want to say hello to Yo-Yo, to Lotta Pitchy, to Misty, to Mike D, to Foxy, who was in there first. I want to say thank you to Getano for giving Wholesome on Reddit, and everybody else who's lurking. And we're going to have a great show for you today. Definitely stay online, because you're going to have artists releasing a single, wonderful, excellent artists releasing a single, interesting talk about Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, and believe me if I say what I'm going to bring to the table nobody else can bring to the table. Let that be mystery. And we're going to listen to a few new songs that we have gotten here. We're going to do that first, because at the core of our show is always new music and new artists. So do stay with us as we go through this wonderful Friday show that we're going to have here on Record Label Boss. Right, let's start with James Dean. One of the things is I don't have that thing yet. I don't have the thing yet where you can see what I'm reviewing. I don't have that back yet. So, oh, the first track, you can't find it. Are you kidding me? Oh, the second track, you can't find it either. Now it's getting a little bit. Now it's getting a little bit hilarious. All right, let me reload that. As you know, we're always making improvements in our studio. We're always trying, to get to the next level with everything. All right, here it goes. Fiori di Me by some guy. I'm gonna try to find scrolling. James Dean. Lots of auto-tune there. Oops. Wrong button. And I know that Lotta Pitchy is a huge fan of Mistina. So, you're both in the chat now. Alright, let's see what this guy says. The song talks about addiction. The artist compares love to a drug. My ask, I'm looking for managers, labels, publishers, mentors that can help me market my music. He needs a middleman. Oh, that's so cute. Decent effort, exclamation mark. Nope. I think every time I do this the first time it says something else. Decent effort, exclamation mark. Okay, and pretty groovy Italo rap song that has some very strong auto tune in certain parts, full stop. All the best and cheers, exclamation mark. Okay. Chris Gooding, come to the back. Chris Gooding. No, don't play here. Don't play here. Play here. Different computer. Alrighty. He says, hey, my name is Chris Gooding. I'm a producer from Houston, Texas. So far, I've gotten support from artists such as blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Come to the Back, which is currently number 1 on the Hot House chart on SoundCloud. 13,000 plays on SoundCloud. I don't know, the last time I checked, CIG had like 500,000 plays on SoundCloud on just one of his songs. People are always sending me this weird, like... Yeah, I guess they want to make themselves sound relevant, of course. He has various projects with various record labels. I think this guy is a little bit too eager to show us that he's really, really good. Decent effort, exclamation mark. Okay track that might have potential, and we would definitely like to hear more from you in the future. Full stop. Do so. Damn it. Check out our Discord and maybe come and hang out. Full stop. All the best and cheers, exclamation mark. Alrighty. That's usually what I say to young people or to newer musicians that might have some kind of... Sorry, I haven't been looking at you for a while. And Misty and Lada are like in love. That is good. All right, next one is Masa Tambaki from Japan. Didn't really provide any information on it. It's okay, probably doesn't speak English much. All right, let's hear it. Yeah, that's a decent effort. Decent effort, exclamation mark. Okay track that has some good basic grooves but also some improvable instruments and a general production quality that should be further worked on. Full stop. All the best and cheers, exclamation mark. Yeah, it's like not where you would want them to be. That is like about 2 years down the road for him. Next one, Arthur Berg Emod demo. Okay, this is all in French, so that's going to be difficult for me, unless you know French. And I think that Mike D and Mistina are going to tell you a bit about their song today. So if you want to chat with them, I think they're both on Twitch, and they will be able to answer your questions about the song release that we're going to have today, and I'm going to also play the song. I hope I have it on here. And Rolling Stone says you are not showing up in the Reddit list of streams. Hey Rolling Stone, thank you for the feedback. I really don't know why, you know, but it's I'm on distant socializing because they usually ban me from every channel that I do my show. So I don't know. All right, Arthur Berg. Let's give him feedback. That's far too basic. Decent effort, exclamation mark. Okay track with some nice parts that has a little bit of a monotony to it and some improvable production quality as well. Full stop. All the best and cheers, exclamation mark. Yeah, it doesn't really go anywhere. Even for an electronic track, that's a little bit too much. Right, Natalie 2V Pop from the UK. Song is Echo. Natalie, they say her first independent single, Tattoo, has amassed over 1.5 million streams on Spotify. This single is on the way becoming a viral hit on TikTok. It's been used across 10 videos with 2 million views. Echo is in 5 editorial playlists with over 1 million listeners on Apple Music. All right. Hey Scotty, what's up?
Now I listen to your heartbeat when I can't sleep, to see if I can match the way that you breathe. I heard that if you're in love, then you're in sync. So I'll do what I gotta do to learn the way your body language works. Maybe I can be what you deserve. You want me for yourself if I rehearse. So I'll do what I gotta do to echo you. Is it deceiving if I emulate your ex? Reading the text she used to send, patiently waiting for you to turn over and see me
Over.
from red.
Natalie turns over. There you could hear the UK. She has 3,000 followers.
And you don't reply. Got me missing you more than I could.
Okay, I don't know what to think about it. It's like when I find an artist and they're like, yeah, we have millions of followers, millions of plays here, and millions of plays here, and millions of plays there, and then they have like no internet present and like a few hundred followers on every channel. It usually means that they're bumping their own streams, if you know what I mean. But let's not assume that. She's singing nice, you know. I'll put her in the let's talk to her pool. All right. Good song, full stop. Send us an email to and we can have a chat, full stop. All the best and cheers, exclamation mark. Why not? Why not? Why not? There you go. And that was it for today. I just quickly did the things that I got sent that were urgent, because today we have a little bit more to do, because first of all, we want to introduce the new single of Karma's Tea. Since they're here, hey Kenny, Ken is here. Ken Tucker, how you doing, my man? And we're gonna ask Mike and Miss Dina about the new song and how it came to be and what it means. So I'm going to start playing the song. Whoops. If I'm not so clumsy. Mr. Clumser. Head bop. That's right. And Miss Dina, if you want to go ahead and tell our listeners what the song is about or how it came to be, and I'll put it in the background. There you go. That is something else. That is the ad that's coming up. Well, I'm happy our stuff is monetized. And okay, Christina, Miss Tina says this.
You feel this? I know you do. Yeah. I've awakened up right with the sunrise. My energy. Yeah. I'm awakened up right to the air rise. You feel me? Baby, yeah, ain't no playing
I'm back in the 90s, dude. Wait until you see the video. Alrighty. So what I can hear here, it's very 80s. Yeah, I can hear Mistina's great vocals. I can hear a lot of synth playing by Mike D, with whom I had a very interesting controversy about this song, because he insisted in a lot of the bass being somewhat off grid, you know. But the song is really it's really 80s, you know. Yeah, and Kenny says it has a Chaka Khan vibe. That is right. So, Miss Nina, was that what you were going for? That 80s vibe that song has? And Misty says it was already picked up by a station in Atlanta, Georgia. That's very good. Oh my God, Discord notifications. The 80s are back, says Scotty. I got a dress recreated after the late Vanity. That's gonna be featured in the video. And guys, as you can hear, it's definitely some of the more eclectic, almost 80s, 90s like sound that they got going on here with Misty's vocal. And I mean, leave it to Karma's T to really always do something interesting and new that's at the same time always a little bit old, you know? Not in a bad sense, but I don't know. I think a lot of people that grew up with R&B and soul in the 80s and 90s and that kind of music are really going to dig Karma's T. But I think that some of the younger people are maybe going to have a little bit of a problem connecting there. But I think this song could have been... If you play this on any 80s or 90s party, people are not going to know that it was made currently, you know. Old is the new. That's right. And since we had pretty successful releases with What Do You Do? And with Come Down, which has created the most controversy so far. Maybe we can talk about that also with Mistina. Because now that I have her on the show, I've always wanted to talk to Mistina, of course, about the new song Magic, but of course about the controversy with her video Come Down, where we had to censor her butt and her boobies because otherwise YouTube wouldn't let us show the video in an ad because they thought it was too hot. So, Mistina, do please explain to me why do you think why are you too hot for YouTube? Please. She's like, oh my God. This thing is a huge hit with the kids. It sounds so old too. And of course, everybody, because I'm Latina. That's right. She says she's too hot. She's too spicy. Papi chulo. Mamacita. She says she's too spicy because she's Latina. And Scotty says some younger generation hear this stuff through and wonder where the good music is. That younger generation hasn't tasted music anyway. Yeah. Why do you assume it wasn't me that was too hot? Because you were, Mike, you were in the video for all of like 10 seconds. So, plus we didn't have to pixel your elephant or anything like that. It was actually pixelation was happening around the chest area and around the bottoms area. And then we were able to advertise it, and it's still running pretty well, the censored video. So if you want to see a spicy video with Mistina in it, you should definitely go to YouTube and check out Come Down. We have two versions of it. One version is censored and the other one isn't. The one that isn't censored is definitely on our channel, but you're going to have to find it yourself because we cannot present it to you in a easy way, So we cannot advertise it, but it is there. You should totally show. Mayo is too spicy to Mike. Oh man, Misty is right. All right, let's play that song again. Yeah, I heard that Mike D has like French ancestors, and Mistina has Puerto Rican ancestors. I think that's the thing with the mayo and the spice, right? Okay, so Misty, I have one serious question. Am I going to have another video with like boobies and butt on my hands when I get the magic video, or is it gonna be easier to advertise? Spicy mayo sounds delicious, that's right. Alright, somebody's always tagging me. Oh, it's Ken. He's been tagging me like crazy in every Discord message. Every time I get a message, hashtag you, hashtag you. Okay, Mistina says, my video will not be showing boobs or butt. Okay, I never said that. I never said you couldn't show boobs or butt, just, I was just interested to see how it was. That was a very interesting thing to have. Alright, so you did, what do? You did come down. You now put out Magic. There's going to be a music video for Magic. When is that going to be done? Because everybody's going to be waiting for that one. And that's when the song is really going to pick up, Because nowadays, really, songs are promoted so much with video. And Ken is asking if you can show boobs and butt in his video. No. Within reason, Ken. Within reason. So soon. Okay, Misty says we film in February and probably will be finished in the beginning of March. Okay, so that's still a little bit out. Okay, that's good. So you can get used to the sound of Karma's Tea. And we also have a secret project with Karma's Tea that is going to introduce them to a wider audience. I can absolutely say that with 100% certainty. And we're gonna be releasing the secret project once we have a video for it as well. So there's going to be interesting days coming for people that like Karma's Tea and that like Mistina Soul. And of course, Mike D, the keyboard wizard and producer, they're both from New York. And they're playing locally in New York, so if you want to, you can even go and see Karma's Tea live in concert. I've seen that. And Foxy says, word secret and project just shouldn't be in one sentence together. It's... the project is actually finished. I'm pretty satisfied with it. Everybody is. But as you know, it's kind of like in a movie. you finish the project and then you do some more because you need to do the music video, then you prepare everything, then you prepare the promo, and then much later it goes out. It's a change in process for a lot of people when they go from like independent artists to where they thank you for cheering 100 bits, Misty, where they work on their stuff and then like the next day put it out on Facebook, or they immediately put it on Spotify, to where you're working with us. You're doing, I'm not going to give away too much now here. You're organizing a project. You're talking with certain people. That alone takes usually months. And then you get it done, and then you prepare it. You prepare the video. And so, definitely 2 very interesting videos coming out from Kermis T. I'm not sure which one will be coming out first, Secret Project or Magic. But I can say interesting times are coming up. And as I said, if you want to see them live, you can do so too. If you want to chat with them, you can join us on our Discord. That's discord.gg/CZR, where you can connect with all the artists. And my last question for you guys would be, what are your plans for afterwards? So you're doing Magic, you're doing the Secret Project, which you've pretty much essentially already finished. What's next for Kermis T in terms of making music? And Foxy says, I understand, Avi, that there's a process that takes time behind projects, but everybody just keeps teasing and it's just mean. No, I have to say... Okay, Mistina says they plan to release another single. Very good. Kermis T is one of the bands that like to release singles with videos. They support their releases really well, which is why all of their singles so far have been pretty successful. And they're building a very good reputation. Very happy with their performance and everything there. And Misty says, and of course we're going to have a full album ready soon. Very nice. I think that is going to be a great album for people that like quality music, and maybe a little bit more eclectic 80s, 90s style. About the Secret Project, I have to say, Foxy, you don't have to be sad. Because there's literally like 6 people that know about it. Even in the label, even inside of the label, there's only 2 people that know about it. We've kept it to an absolute minimum. And I think it's going to be very interesting. Now I realize that revealing that it bothers me wasn't a smart move. Yeah, I'm still not going to tell anybody anyway. It's not like you're going to make me tell it. So, that will be good, And usually these secret projects have a reason why it's secret, because now every message I receive is going to be a tease. No, it's because you don't want to take away from a currently ongoing project, or you don't want to undercut marketing that's currently going for something else, or you haven't informed everybody of what's coming and they need to be informed of it. So there's a chain of events that have to go on, and that's what you don't tell it all until it's ready. Yeah, no. At this point with Secret Project Kermis T, let's call it that, we are to where we have recorded. It's a song, of course, but I do want the song to be supported by a music video. So we're gonna shoot the music video first, I'm not entirely sure how we're going to do that. There's some things to clear up. Then the music video has to be in a way that I like it. Then I'm going to talk with some partners that we have about advertisement, how we're going to do that, how we're going to pitch and present it, because that's also really important. And then we're going to come up with a release plan, what we're going to do when. And when we have all that nailed down, then we will know more. Yeah, Misty puts the little plane, you know, then the Karma's Tea airplane is gonna launch into the sky. So if you are interested in Mistina Soul and Mike D, then go check out Karma's Tea. That's CountZeroRecords.com/Karma's Tea, just spelled together. You'll be able to grab some of their merch, see their singles, and of course their music is on every digital distribution channel that you would want to listen to. And of course it's also on our app. At this time, if you are not familiar with our app, you can download our app at CountZeroRecords.com/app, and you can listen to all of the music for free. Pretty great to do. And people are now already asking, boobs and butter for free. By the way, totally watch Mistina's and Mike D's latest video, Come Down. You're not going to regret it. For the women, it's going to be great music. You're going to love it. It's going to remind me of you. It's going to remind you of you and your boyfriend or your husband. And for the boys, watch it because you're going to see Mistina. It's going to be totally good and life-changing for you. So you should totally do that. It's for free on YouTube. It's on our channel. Just search for Come Down for Karma's Tea on the Count Zero Records channel. All right, Misty Butt. That's right. Lottie says also Misty Butt. Dude, show people how to clean. Was that what I show people how to clean? Was that it? Was that what you were doing in the bathtub, Misty? There, you were showing people how to clean a bathtub. Okay. Shit. Oh man, that is golden. That is golden. Hold on. What could I do? I could totally tag that in. Maybe I should do that. Hold on. Let me close this. I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna play the video here. I'm completely not prepared for it, but I'm also not stupid. So I'm gonna do it on the fly. All right, let's make a new scene and call it full screen video. And I'm hoping this is gonna work. I'm really hoping this is gonna work. If not, I'm gonna be disappointed. All right. The name is already in the view. What? Full screen video. There it is. There it is. There's a reflector in here. Yeah, definitely don't need that. There's an audio input capture. Definitely don't need that. Okay, guys, you're seeing black, but I'm still here. You know? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to YouTube. Okay, and we're gonna go to here, and then we're gonna add a source here, and we're gonna make it a window capture. Findo capture. I call it Misty, and soon you will no longer be. There you go. So, and now I'm going to have to... Ooh. Is that it? Is that it?
Elementor Pro templates?
Elementor Pro. Oh, that's the clean version. Oh, no, come on. Dirty version, that's what we need. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Come down, my baby. It's all right. Yeah, yeah. Got me burning up for you, and I feel so alive. Yeah. Make the time just for you.
Booty.
You feel so good inside. Made my husband turn around.
I didn't know Mike D. Smoke.
Around. You know, yeah. Made my husband turn around. Made my husband turn around. Come down, baby. It's all right. Yeah. Come down.
Mike says he doesn't smoke. The director made him smoke.
Open up my flower. Got my prints all up high. Take me into lotus in your position. Make my body say I. So good, I just touched the vine. So good, I just touched the. So good, I just touched the vine. So good, I just touched the. So good, I just touched the vine. So good, I just touched the vine. Come down, baby. It's all right. Come down, baby. Oh no, it's all right.
And Misty says the video is dedicated to those celebrities who only bathe once a week. I show you how to start at the neck and make your way down to get super clean. All right, we got cleaning tips from Misty here.
Made my husband turn around. Made my husband turn around. You know, yeah. Made my husband turn around. Made my husband turn around. You know, yeah. Made my husband turn
Misty
around.
says she should
Made
be a
my
bath
husband turn
influencer.
around.
Sell bath water. Yeah, that's right. And Mike shows us how to smoke can cause problems in your relationship. And Running Funk says, shit, I thought this was a commercial. It's a commercial for what?
It's all right.
It's a bath commercial. Now here's Mike. Here's Mike. It's 10 seconds. She's naked. He's bringing flowers. There you go. There you go. I think that was pretty cool. Don't you think so? I didn't think that it deserved a like a ban or something for advertisement. I thought it was totally good, and it was very obvious that Mistina was advertising cleanliness here, and she was showing people how to, wash themselves and do that stuff. So if you're interested in Karma's Tea, totally check out their playlist on our YouTube channel. You're going to find other videos. They do amazing covers. Also, by the way, there's a cover with Jesse Wagner from Guy from Lenny Kravitz that sings a cover together with Misty and other stuff. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of sexy stuff, a lot of singing stuff. Definitely something you want to check out if you're into that kind of like R&B, soul. Really cool music. I like him a lot. Plus, I have to say that those two are really super nice people that I also, personally associate with. And that many times I ask for artistic advice. And that are just generally good people and nice people to be around and very skilled people. So Karma's Tea definitely worthy of your consideration. Check out their new single, Magic. And if you haven't seen it, check out Come Down or What Do You Do, the videos on their channel. And thank you so much for being on here to the two of you. I know you're always really, really busy, but I also know that, you love me so much that you just had to be on my show. I know it. Power couple, that's right. Alrighty, let's play a little bit of urban music playlist here. That's where Karma's Tea is on. Okay. Okay, let's play. What do you do? All right, I'm gonna start into the urban playlist, and we are going to get into the third segment of this show. Which is going to be the controversy that many people have talked about, and I heard about today, regarding the Joe Rogan podcast and the guest Jordan Peterson. So if you have any comments or if you have any opinions about that, if you read about it today or if you heard it, just put it in your chat. I'll read it and we can talk about it, and we can try to make sense from what is going on. And I'm going to do a very brief recap for everybody who has not yet heard about the controversy. So one of the biggest podcasts on the planet is called the Joe Rogan Experience. And Joe Rogan was recently bought by Spotify. They paid around $100 million because their podcasting section wasn't that great. And they essentially bought Joe Rogan to come to Spotify exclusively. And that was a deal that raised a lot of, a lot of people were like, wow, they're buying podcasters. Interesting. And Joe Rogan has interviewed a lot of people over the time. He's famous for essentially letting people say whatever they want. It's usually a very relaxed atmosphere to where he talks about something and his interviewees talk about something and everybody seems to have a good time. And I think it's this format that makes people want to watch it because it's kind of like an anti-mainstream media format. In mainstream media, you have very little time to answer a question. You're usually very regulated because, you got 5 minutes, and in these 5 minutes, you need to drill down your 3 points, and that's all they got time for. And Joe Rogan essentially lets people talk and smoke weed or, do crack or whatever they want on his show. And talks with them for 4 hours if need be, or 10 hours. And of course, on the other side, Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist who I've been following for quite a while. He's a very interesting scientist with a lot of experience. He suffers from severe depression himself. Many of the times he's heavily medicated with all kinds of stuff, but he offers some very interesting insight and is a very popular guest in many talk shows. You maybe have heard of him. And they recently had this podcast to where they talked about certain topics, and I heard about it because in response to that podcast, Neil Young pulled all of his material from Spotify, and a lot of people were very, very upset about what was said in that podcast, and are now considering doing something against Joe Rogan and Spotify or not. So a lot of people are very upset. And Neil Young, Mistina says Neil Young knew he was going to get dropped because Neil said either it's Joe Rogan who goes from Spotify or me. And Mistina says, I'm sure he will miss the $20 he makes quarterly on Spotify. That's right. And this is the point. People aren't even worried about pulling their catalog on Spotify anymore because Spotify pays so badly that nobody gives a shit about having it on there anyway. And Mistina Soul says, we know Joe from Fear Factor where he used to eat sheep balls. So yeah, Joe Rogan is a MMA fighter, former MMA fighter, martial artist. Did some, I would say, yellow press TV after that. Does still some sports commentating. And this is essentially the setup. So when I originally approached the idea of talking about this on the show, I said, how would I approach it? And I'm going to tell you how I'm approaching that by how I met the people. I like Joe Rogan's podcast because it's not a classical journalistic podcast. It's Joe and a guest talking bullshit. Anything that comes into their minds. And usually it's a lot of crap because Joe is not the most educated person in the world, and his guests usually riff about something, their pet peeves. And a lot of people, when you let them uncontrolled, like kind of like me, talk about stuff, I rant all the time. They do too. So a lot of his guests are uncontrollably ranting for an hour, you know? But it's sometimes interesting. If the person is interesting, it's good. This is how I met him. And Jordan Peterson, of course, has some lectures that were recorded and then put on the internet. And a lot of people found interest in psychology there. To me, it wasn't anything new because I'm an economist / sociologist. So that kind of like has a cross section with psychology. So a lot of the concepts that he presents in these lectures are probably nothing new to anybody who is from the field. But for a lot of people, they were new and they were interesting and people listened to him. The point where I am a little bit critical is that... Oh, there's a black name. That's very interesting. Todd Lansing. Hi, Todd. How you doing? One day it was when Jordan Peterson started talking about international politics, and I very quickly realized that really isn't his area of expertise. I'm going to switch to instrumental music here for a little bit because it's easier to talk. When somebody's rapping in the background, I always find it a little bit difficult too. Let's play Mike DeRoche. Some of Mike D's instrumental music we're going to play. Raising the Kids and Guarding My Sanity. That's good, Todd. All right, let's play some piano music from Mike D. And talk about it. So, I quickly found out that very naturally, Jordan Peterson has an area of expertise that he's really good in. And then he has areas where he knows next to nothing about. He was making a lot of factual mistakes in international politics. He was making a lot of mistakes whenever he talks about economy, etc. Because for the most part, he doesn't know anything about it. But it's natural. You have scientists or people that are experts in their fields. They know a lot about their field, but they don't know so much about something else, you know. If you want to have two American football commentators, you're probably not going to take two Inuit from the North Pole that have never seen a football match and have them comment on the football match. Why? Because they don't know anything about it. So there's two dimensions to every interview. Is it an expert interview where two people who know what they're talking about and who are experts in the field talk to each other? Or is it Joe Rogan, where people who know nothing about the topic talk to each other about it, just the same way that you and I would do if we were in a bar? And this is what it is. The Joe Rogan podcast is essentially bar talk. It's like you have a beer and you have a beer, and we both talk about something that we know absolutely nothing about, but it's just fun to talk about. And this is what happened on this podcast. And they got into various topics. And the first thing that upset a lot of people was when Jordan Peterson was referring and said that climate doesn't exist. And climate science is actually not a science. And then he did some rambling that was not entirely coherent. And a lot of people were very upset about that. But if you know Jordan Peterson's medical history, and you know that he's always on strong medication, and if he's not, he has a lot of problems with coherency, then it explains it. So a lot of people, when you judge somebody else, they like to put him in categories of good or bad. And most people are neither. Jordan Peterson is a brilliant psychologist, but he's also an individual that is suffering from severe mental problems. He has very strong medication and big problems in his life, but he came through it, and he's a great scientist. He's just not really an expert on climate. I don't think he's ever done any climate mathematics, and he's certainly not a meteorologist at all. So then you have two guys talking about the climate who really know nothing about meteorology. And then they go to the matter of race. And them two, being older white men, kind of like stumble into every possible pitfall that you could probably do. You know, saying that black people don't really exist. It's all different shades. And Jordan Peterson said he was also brown. And Joe Rogan was, yeah, it's true, you know. And the only way that I can relate to this is that if you're not part of a minority, you really can't relate. And these two guys have never been part of any minority in their lifetimes. They're rich, white, old men who are not in any minority group and were never in their lives. When my family came to Austria in the 70s, Austria was a population of white Catholic, German-speaking people, and my father was a brown Greek Orthodox, Greek-speaking, Greek-cultured person, and he stuck out like a sore thumb. And even though a lot of people say to me, look, George, you look so white, that doesn't mean anything. If you're going to one of the most ethnically, culturally, and linguistically pure area of the world, like Austria, where 99% of the population is the very fucking same, you're going to stick out. So I had quite a little bit of experience with discrimination because I family was also poor, so there wasn't. It was a lot more friction than you would think. And what these two were contesting essentially was that black people have it hard. They were essentially saying, we're all the same underneath. Black isn't really a thing because they're not black as in the color, they're brown, and I'm a different color of brown. And all of that is, of course, absolutely true. Black people are not black as in the color black, and white people are not white as in the color white. But what matters is the cultural experience growing up, being part of a disenfranchised minority. Not only black people, that word was created by people like Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, by rich white old men, not by the black people themselves. These people were Zulu, they were Xhosa, they were different tribes. No one in Africa has ever described themselves as black. That doesn't exist. Nobody in Europe describes themselves as white. That didn't exist. People in Europe describe themselves as of German culture, of Greek culture, of Nordic culture. A Greek person, a Italian person. But nobody said, yeah, I'm white. Are you white too? That was something that was invented in a completely different place. And this terminology was essentially made to separate people, to discriminate people. And for two grown white men who claim to be smart, to fall into that kind of trap, I was a little bit disappointed. Because I think they know better than to give the impression that they would have the same life experience as anybody else would have. Is this 420 friendly? Yeah, sure. And then, of course, they always go on riff-raffing about one topic or another. Usually it's not very well-informed. So my take on this whole situation that was later blown up on Twitter and people are very upset about it is that if you want to see people that are talking about things that they know nothing about in a very unreflected and unintellectual way, you can listen to the Joe Rogan show. It's literally your neighbor and his best buddy talking about something they have no clue about. And there's two messages in that. Number one, nobody in his right mind would take political advice from a former martial artist, and nobody in his right mind would take economic advice from a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Understand people for what they are and for what they're saying. And this goes back, and this is the reason why I decided to do this segment. There was once a German soccer trainer. I think it was a German soccer trainer. And there was something big in the world going on, and I forgot about what it was. And the first thing they asked him after the show was, Mr. Such and Such, and I forgot who it was. There's a video still. What do you think about this and this world event that had just happened? And he looks at the journalist and he says, I'm a soccer trainer. You should not be asking me these things. You should be asking these things to somebody who actually knows a lot about them and get the answer from them. Why are you asking soccer players about politics? And this is exactly true. Why do we simply ask the most famous person or the person that we like, a musician, a fighter, somebody, for their opinion on everything, knowing that their opinion is not very well informed? Why would you do that? You would not get a heart surgery from a musician. And I would understand that. Nobody would. You would not get your car fixed by Jordan Peterson. Nobody would. You would not ask Donald Trump about anything though. That's some decency, some ethical questions about involving religion. You know what I mean? If you are doing something as a private person, you're going to an expert. You get your car fixed at the car place. You buy bread at the baker. You go to the doctor if you're sick. You don't turn this around. In your private life, you would not take medical advice from the florist. The question is then, why do you do this in the public sphere? Why do you like people so much that you would believe anything they say, even if you know they know nothing about it? And why would you then be upset about it? Am I upset about the interview? No. Do I think these guys know what they're talking about? No, absolutely not. Am I surprised? Not at the very least. Am I going to listen to it again? Yes. Am I going to believe anything it said there? No. It's fucking entertainment. It's entertainment. If you ask an entertainer something, it's entertainment. If you watch an entertainer, it's entertainment. And if you want to know something, go ask somebody who does really know something. So if you want to know, if you want to have economic advice, if you want to have political commentary, go to the people who know that. All right, I'm going to catch up a little bit. On the thing here. Yeah, there you go. Todd says, agree, we all bleed red, but you can't deny the negativity black folk face every day. Not only black people. All over the world, minorities are discriminated. Christians in Asia, Muslims in Europe, black people in America, black people in Asia, Arab people, you know what I mean? There's minorities everywhere, and the suffering is the same everywhere. You can be discriminated by how you look, by your religion, by what you believe. So many things, and so many people are discriminated and marginalized all over the world. And it's not fun to be part of a discriminated and marginalized population. And Todd says they're allowed to have the discussion in being wrong. They can be taught and educated to be better. That's right. Joe Rogan is just two dudes talking on the back porch. That's right. I totally agree. You can listen, but you should not hold significant weight in your life. Absolutely right. Musicians will only break your heart, says Mistina. And Mike D says, what? I'm really good heart surgeon. I'm offended. And Todd says he got his car fixed by a crackhead for $20 an hour. And Meg says, I'm a white Catholic and I'm still discriminated in Austria because I'm from the Balkans. That's right. And that's what it's about. And for them not to understand that is something that happens a lot. The majority has a really hard time understanding the minority because they never tried. If you're always the person that has it easier, and here comes a point from Jordan Peterson I'm now going to use against him. If you are always the person that has it easier, you have a vested interest in saying, no, this discrimination doesn't exist. You have it just as easy as I have it, because what otherwise it would mean is that you're successful because you had it easier, or that you, being part of the majority population, had it easier to achieve what you achieved and other people have it harder. And nobody wants to cheapen their own experience or their own career. So a lot of people are inclined to say, oh, men don't have it easier. White people don't have it easier. Rich people don't have it easier. When we all know from our private lives that that is very much true. It very much depends who you are on how easy you have it in life. And you are born into this. It's not an achievement to be born Jordan Peterson or to be born Joe Rogan. You had it easier because you were not born in sub-Saharan Africa. You had it easier because you were not born as part of a persecuted small minority religious-wise. You had it easier because you were not born in the Russia of the 1940s and you were not a communist. You were lucky to be born in a place that gave you advantages, and it is common human decency to acknowledge that you had some things stacked on your side at the time that you were born. And I don't think that's difficult. But a lot of people have such weak egos that they can't do that. And part of these people are people like Elon Musk and other businessmen that are extremely competitive and that cannot acknowledge any inherent advantage they had by their birth, be it from their parents being rich, from them being born on the right part of the ocean, or with the right skin color, or anything like that. Because the narrative is always very simple, and the narrative by Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson is the same. I did it myself. I had no help. I'm the guy. I made it myself. Nobody helped me, and it's a great achievement. I think that humbleness actually increases your achievement and it doesn't cheapen it. And I think that's the underlying message here. I'm not so worried about two people riffing about race, about what matters, and then the whole COVID shit that they're always saying, you know. But do you really think COVID is real? Or is it just like, has the government implanted us with like sensors that they can sense from the sky from a satellite? If you're taking that shit serious, you're fucking dumb. Look, that is the part where we say it's entertainment. But this is also another thing that our society now has. We have a crisis of education because so many people do not have the intellectual and the educational tools to separate somebody who's talking complete bullshit from somebody who's very serious and educated. And at the point where you can no longer tell what good and evil is, it all becomes one. And then it just matters who you believe. And this is what we're saying, and this is the third topic we're seeing now with the COVID thing. People are like, Rogan is denying COVID. Is he? Or is he just too fucking uneducated to understand anything about COVID? I believe it's the second. I don't believe that he's purposely denying something. I just believe he's not a doctor. I believe has the education of your average lift boy and some ideas. And he's probably an extremely solid guy to have a beer with in a bar. But I would literally not go to him and say, give me a heart transplantation. That would be the wrong guy. And you wouldn't either. So why are you believing people on podcasts? Why are you believing people on TV? Why are you asking an actor for his opinion? Of course, you might like him. He might be your favorite actor. But is he really qualified to answer your question? And Todd says here, no one has it easy, but you gotta recognize that black friends are being watched when you walk together to the store. See, this is something I usually don't talk about because I don't have any black friends, but that isn't because I hate them or anything. I guess now CIG, you know, but not like in my real life because there's no black people here. Austria used to be 99% white Catholic German-speaking people, and it's now 95% white Catholic German-speaking people. It's a very culturally undiverse environment, you know? So what can I tell about the struggle of black people growing up in the slums of America? I just don't know. I can imagine what it is. I can watch a documentary and I can talk to people. I don't know shit about, like, Atlanta. I don't know. I've never been there. What do you want me to say? You know? Every Muslim I've met so far was really nice, by the way. Every Russian I've ever met was really nice, by the way. Every French person I ever met was really nice. I don't have a problem with Muslims. Never had one. I never had a problem with Russians. Never had one. Never had a problem with Americans. Never had one. Politics is telling us to have problems with all kinds of people. But I relate to them how I relate to them. And I just don't have any problems with them. Like, most people are extremely very much the fucking same. They like to eat and drink, be entertained, and have a good time. There's hardly any difference in anywhere in the world. It's just what they eat and drink is different, depending on where they live, and what they think entertainment is different. And Todd says Cho is high as ego butt every time he goes on his podcast. He lets his guests say whatever, and then he refuses to kill their vibe. People just say whatever on there, and he's like, yeah, lol, no matter how messed up it is. Yeah, because it's not journalism. It's entertainment. It's like the difference between CNN and Fox News is that CNN is journalism and Fox News is entertainment. One is at least trying to be based on realism, and the other one has legally committed to being opinion and comedy. I also today saw a commentary from Tucker Carlson, and I think it was very revealing that Fox News legally qualifies him as a comedian and a opinion commentary. Nobody has ever declared Tucker Carlson, for example, to be a journalist, and legally he's not. His show is styled to appear as journalism, but Fox has submitted to various courts in America, and I've seen the papers, written statements saying that no person would ever assume that the things that Tucker Carlson says on TV are actually true and real. And he's a comedic commentary host. That wouldn't be difficult to find that paper. And that puts things in perspective. And people are always like, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? The question is, who's a journalist? Who's an expert? And who says about themselves that they are a comedian, that they are a commentator, or they are an unqualified talk show? And there's a very important distinction that I think we all have to make. And Todd says he has a lot of black friends. He's Mexican. Hey, dude, I love Mexican food. Fuck. Mexican myself, but I look white to the world. Yeah. Because of the wave of refugees. My husband calls it because I'm a dark person. Entertainment. Yeah, and this is a distinction that so many people have a hard time making. What am I watching? Just because somebody looks like he's a news host and the show looks like it's a news show does not mean it's a news show. It could be entertainment. It could be comedy. It could be pure commentary. It could be pure private opinion. And everybody appearing on the show would equally, legally be categorized as a comedian, as a pure private opinion host, and none of it would be declared as news. But to the outside world, and here's the dishonesty and here's the problem. To the outside world, Tucker Carlson might appear as an actual news host. To the outside world, Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson might appear as they were actually saying things that were factually true, when it's legally declared it's not. So I don't know. Since we have notes that says don't put the hamster in the microwave, maybe we need notes under shows that say this is not a news show. Comedy / opinion. I think maybe that would be better, because so many people obviously have a hard time understanding the difference between journalism and news and comedy and opinion. And from that stemmed most of the problems that people have. And Supermarket Upstairs says, Jordan Peterson made me cry. He's a conflicted man that is a good psychologist, but pretty much bad in everything else. I mean, he has a segment where he talks about the European Union, and that has got to be some of the least enlightened propaganda I've ever heard in my life. And I was like, wow, Jordan Peterson is actually indoctrinated. Good for you, my man. He was actually running some positions there that were indoctrination points of the American education of the 50s that have since, long been proven to be wrong. But from what people say, you can always see who indoctrinated them. You also see this a lot with Russians, by the way. Russian public education was also very, very strongly geared towards indoctrination more than education. But I have to say that the American education is probably one of the most indoctrinated education systems that I know. Very, very interesting. And you have to understand what place people are speaking from. Joe Rogan speaks from a place of personal experience. He has personal experience being a martial artist, of being a TV personality, of being a podcast host, of being a sports commentary. So if he were to speak about these things, I would very much value what he has to say, because he's done them, he's lived through them. He would be very credible. If Jordan Peterson would talk about psychology, I would very much believe what he says, and I listen to a lot of his lectures. They all make an incredible amount of sense. But when you go away from these topics, it quickly becomes like any other person's ramblings. And my criticism point, and that's what I'm getting to, my main criticism point is that there's two people that don't know when to shut up. If you don't know anything about it, shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear, and especially knowing that you have millions of people listening to you, say the one thing you should say. Say, I don't know anything about that. Say, I don't know how it is to be black. I don't know how meteorology works. Say, I'm not a virologist. Neither am I a doctor. Say that and shut up. Because that would be the sensible thing to do. The insensible thing to do would be to pretend like you're knowing something and to ramble on for 4 hours and everything you say is wrong. And the next day people come and fact check you left and right, and everything you said is just complete bullshit. You ruin your own reputation, and you're not doing a service to society, And Todd says true journalism should come with a seal of some sort to show it's true journalism, and anyone using the seal can't do opinion pieces unless the seal is removed for those portions. Yeah. Has it come to this, Todd? Have we come to a society who can literally not tell comedy from journalism? We can no longer tell what is advertisement and what is not. We can no longer tell what is fun and what is real. Chainsaws have a warning that says, do not operate while naked. Do not put genitals in chainsaw, yeah. And Misty says, haven't been keeping up, but I joke with my friends saying, catch me in winter, I'll have all the privilege. It's the summer when my credit score goes down. Jeez, what? And Todd says, just know what it feels like to have a cop saying, why are you hanging out with these people? You're better than them. Yeah. And this is something that we all should encourage. We should all encourage a culture of shutting the fuck up when you're not knowing what you're talking of. And saying, this is an interesting topic. I have my own thoughts about it, but I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to talk about it. If you're a public person, if you know something about it, speak. If you don't know something about it, shut up. The idea that you just have to always talk about everything is only justified or explained by someone's vanity. I try to speak of things that I know of. I'm an economist, I'm a sociologist, I'm an electrical engineer, I worked in energy, I worked as a manager, and now I work in music. So if you want to define my cloud of things that I know of, you could find like 10 bigger areas where I would deem myself knowledgeable. And outside of those, why would I give expert advice? Or pretend to know things, you know? And don't even get me started about the hosts that love to talk about other countries. One day, I have to say it because it's funny. I'm not going to say the news station, but you can probably imagine it. There was a guy on a news show who in all honesty said, and I quote, "I know a lot about Europe because after college I was there for 3 months." And that is everything that's wrong with that show and that person. If you do believe that you understand a 28 country, 28 culture entity because you've been there for 3 months after college, you have got to be the most ignorant person I've ever seen. No European understands Europe in its entirety. The cultures are vastly different. You have the Italians, the Greeks, you know, the Mediterranean people. You have the Nordic people, the Finns, the Swedes. Their languages, their cultures, their identities, their approach to life are vastly different. And for some college kid to fly to Ibiza for 3 months, get fucking drunk and do coke, and then come back to the States and say, "I know Europe now," you know, is everything that's wrong with that. You know, that's like, you know, I don't know. I know everything about Native Americans because I was at a powwow, you know. I bought a burger there once, you know. Or the people to the other side that go and eat a burger at McDonald's and say they know a lot about America. America is incredibly diverse. So many different people, so many different places, so much nature, history, culture, so many different things, so many vastly different people. And people are always like, you know, the Americans. I'm like, yeah, it's like the Europeans, you know, right? Or, for the matter, the Russians, which are a multitude of peoples, actually. They're only, for the most part, together by their common language. But there's many different ethnicities in Russia. And not all of them have the same beliefs at all. And Foxy says if everybody spoke only about things they actually know something about and were silent about everything else, it would be very quiet most of the time. That is that is absolutely true, Foxy. And in order to fill the void that is left open by their shrinking self-esteem, people just have to open their mouth and yap all the time. And this is exactly what we're seeing. They just can't shut up. If I invite a guest, I want him to talk about his first-hand experience. Because even if his first-hand experience is not in his area of expertise, it's still first-hand experience. I really don't want to hear Jordan Peterson's commentary on European politics. Because that's like childlike. I also don't want to hear, you know, Joe Rogan's ramblings about the economy. He has no idea how anything works. I also don't want to hear just about anything from Elon Musk, who is smart, but people do believe he's a lot smarter than he actually is. And he's just a really good salesman. If you asked me what Elon Musk really is, I would say he's a salesman. He's not really a scientist. He's not really an intellectual in a greater sense, you know. He's somebody who very specifically drops some things that people that don't have a lot of education would think are incredibly smart, but are actually incredibly overused in the scientific community. You know, he hardly ever says anything new, but people are like, whoa, I never heard that. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you're a lumberjack. Nothing wrong about lumberjacks, but the reason why you haven't heard it is because your education just doesn't extend into that field. That doesn't mean it's new. It just means you've never heard it. And here's Todd saying, I took a pill in Ibiza. No, everything about Europe. Yeah. I took a pill in Ibiza to show a VO. I was cool. He made that song about me. Nah. Almost. So, you know, if you have any questions to me, maybe that was a little bit unsatisfactory, but my take on it, to wrap it up, would be to turn your own brain on. You would not go to your mechanic and order a cake. You would not go to the baker and get your teeth done. And you would not go to the nightclub to study medicine. You would go to the correct place to get the correct service, because you knew, or you know instinctively, that you go to where people know things about what you need to get it done. And you would never in your private life trust anybody that doesn't know anything about what you needed with your stuff. But because we make heroes out of public figures, we ascribe them superhuman abilities of knowledge, power, wisdom. Let's all do it like Joe Rogan does it. Let's all do it like Jordan Peterson does it. And I say, let's not. Let's not do it like Joe Rogan does it. Let's not do it like Jordan Peterson does it. Let's do it like you do it. Because you know what you know where you're good, where you're bad. Form your own opinion. Not by the way, research is not reading the internet. A lot of people get that incredibly wrong, you know. So many people have been saying, yeah, I've been doing my own research. Research meaning, actually what it means is to take information from other vetted scientific sources. And most people on this planet who are not part of the academic community usually don't even know how to conduct research. I can still remember at university we had multiple seminars on how to do research. And essentially anything that is media or the daily press or things like that, unless your research is about opinion, are essentially excluded from any actual research. So when you ask people, where did you research something? And they say, the newspaper, the TV, the internet. None of these sources are research resources. Research resources are generally scientific publications that are peer-reviewed and that are, at best, highly quoted, and to where the theories that are in the paper have been proven empirically. So what these people are doing by saying they're doing research is they're getting more opinions from people that are offering them opinions. And the reason why they feel so compelled to say they did research is because they want to emulate the people that actually do research. They want to matter too. It's like a kid emulating you. It's like your 3-year-old boy and you're a bricklayer, you're building a house, and your little boy is emulating you and building a sandcastle, and he says, look, Pa, I'm being like you. I'm also building a house. And this is what we're seeing a lot with COVID now. Look, I'm also researching. These people do not understand what research is, and if you try to argue with them, they're not going to understand. Just imagine you're talking to a 3-year-old that is playing in the sandbox, and you're telling them you're not really building a house. You know that, right? The kid's either going to cry, run away, or think you're crazy. They're emulating people that they look up to, or that society thinks are good, you know? So when you hear somebody say that they did research, and you ask them, super, where is it that which sources do you generally look at? And they prompt you media sources, don't continue talking with them, because confronting them about it is not going to have an enlightening effect. They're going to have to come to that conclusion themselves. Yeah, I've read it on Facebook and Wikipedia. You can literally write anything in Wikipedia, and the same in Facebook. There's absolutely no inhibitions to what you can write on Facebook or Wikipedia. You could do whatever you want. Hey, Creepy Ape is back. How you doing, my man? I'm currently reading 12 Rules for Life. It's a bit hard to read, but the first chapter on lobsters was awesome. There's a lot of great books that you can buy, rent, or read for free online, where people give you great advice. I personally know people that do nothing else but take literature that is used at universities, copy it, make it simpler, and sell it as their own marketing or management courses. They literally copy, Carnegie or anybody who has written anything about anything, make a few simple slides from a book they didn't write, and then sell that course or try to sell that course for 10 grand. There's a whole group of people that do nothing else but to copy free information, put it in their own slides, and then try to sell it. So if you really want to learn, nowadays there is so much information out there that you could learn, but it's going to be hard. And this is the reason why the general public doesn't really research stuff, because researching stuff means thinking, and it's a lot more fun to just listen to opinion hosts and let them tell you what you should think. And Foxy says, what's funny? Some people are using TikTok as a source of information. We're doomed. I'm using TikTok as a source of information as well. It's actually a great source of information because it keeps you up to date with what especially young people think is current. Media is always a reflection of opinion, and this is what I use media for. When you look in media, you find what people are thinking. You find what people like. Not necessarily what the truth is, but you find what they think of, what they know, what they want to hear of, what they believe. And so it's very interesting. So I do scroll TikTok a lot because it keeps me connected to a place I would otherwise not be connected to. This is also why I read Reddit. This is why I read also Facebook, even though it's really hard for me to do that because Facebook seems to be the least qualified. media, really difficult. So use it as a source of opinions, not factual information. That's right. Opinions are really important, you know. Everybody has an opinion, and it's important to know what people's opinions currently are, you know. For example, the current opinion in Russia is, just so to come to the Russia-Ukraine thing, maybe talk for that about like 10 minutes. The current opinion of people in Russia is that Putin and Russia are trying to keep everything peaceful, but the West is trying to muscle Putin into a war in Ukraine. The West wants the war, and Putin is doing everything he can to prevent the war. And they wish for their president to have enough strength to not be goaded into war with the West. This is what people in Russia think. I have some Russian friends and watch some Russian TV. Pretty much public opinion. Public opinion in America. Russia is provoking us to go to war, but we are hoping that President Biden will not be goaded into war and he does not fall into the trap and go to war in Russia. What is the same? People don't want war. But they both believe the national narrative. And this is what you will find is that in the end, people always believe the national narrative because it's pushed in a very strong and very all-encompassing way by the national government. So when people disagree and people say, you know, how could you think that? It is because they have been, I wouldn't say influenced, I would say indoctrinated. And this is where we get to the Great Divide in, for example, if you want to talk about America. Not saying there's a Great Divide, not commentary myself, just commenting on other people's comments. But that is because people start reading different news, or what they believe is news. But when you replace news with opinions, can you be anything but divided if the people that make these opinions want you to be divided? And, you know, there's a problem. Creepy Ape says, most people nowadays don't like complex theories or ideas. That is absolutely true, Creepy. And most things are not simple. They prefer quotations often out of context, sound bites from experts, or a complex idea broken down to a 5-point system. That's right. Often with the substance removed. Very good, Creepy Ape. Couldn't have said that better myself. Rolling Stone says, you conveniently left out mentioning the thousands and thousands of troops standing at the border right now and for the last 3 weeks. Do you feel mentioning like that or not? Good point. Do you think that you can conquer Ukraine with 100,000 soldiers? Do you have any idea how large Ukraine is? And do you know how many people you would need to conquer Ukraine? You think you're going to do that with 100,000 people? No. You're going to need at least 5 times more troops. Even to attack Ukraine, Putin would have to raise at least 5 times more troops at the border to Ukraine. He could do that. Nobody says he couldn't. But what he's got there is not enough to win. Especially not against the Ukraine that is supplied with arms by NATO. And this can only be a misunderstanding that somebody has that has no idea how large Russia is and how large Ukraine is. If you believe 100,000 people are anywhere near remotely possibly enough to conquer, or even worse, occupy Ukraine, you are misjudging the size of things. And this is something that we commonly see from people that are from different continents. They don't know, is something 10 times 40 times or 100 times the size of something else. So they kind of like fall for these extremely obvious times 10 times 100 problems, to where something is blown out of proportion in the media, and they believe it to be so because they believe that this country is like that tiny. It's not. It's the second largest country of the former Soviet bloc after Russia itself. Russia has never successfully in the history of the world attacked Ukraine. That would be extremely dangerous for Russia. Not because they were in an immediate danger to lose, but they would be in an immediate, present, and awful fucking danger of getting stuck there forever. Because Ukraine, in the importance of Westerners, is like non-existent. You know, it's like tiny Ukraine and huge Russia. But in reality, it is actually not like that. The Ukrainians inherited a lot of the material. They're now close to NATO. They've been receiving material for decades. They have a lot of people. The country is very large. That would definitely not be an easy victory for Putin. And with the men that he has at the border, he can attack Ukraine, of course, but he cannot win the war. So while he has enough people there to attack, but you could attack Ukraine with one person. All you need to attack Ukraine is like one person, and you should attack you. But what good is that gonna do if immediately you're gonna be fucking kicked out of everything, and then everybody's gonna sanction the fuck out of you. And even after, if you win the war after 3 or 4 years against Ukraine, you're going to have to occupy a huge country with millions of unwilling civilians while the West is completely sanctioning you. This will essentially be the end of Putin's reign if he attacks Ukraine. And this is why he's not going to do it. The reason why that narrative is pushed up so much in America is because they want to create some pressure on Putin to back the fuck off, which I agree with. He really needs to back the fuck off. But the reason why Putin is in front of Ukraine is not Ukraine, but it is because Russia has the GDP of Belgium. Do you know Belgium? Have you ever been in Belgium? Do you know the size of Belgium? Russia is one of the largest countries on the planet, and it has the economic output of Belgium. Russia economically is essentially ruined. Putin is never going to win another term if he has to run on his economic merits. And as it was with Bush and many other people before, when you're not winning the political game at home, a war can always help you. And what's better than a war? A war that you only fake. It gets everybody rattled up, everybody's nationalistic, everybody's like, let's go Russia, let's support Putin, we're gonna go. And then you're like, yeah, you know, we are the better ones, we're not attacking. So he's trying to secure his legacy and his standing inside of Russia, at the same time threatening the West, but not enough to actually start a war. And this is what we see done a lot in politics. The only real danger is that somebody does something stupid and the war starts anyway, because nobody wants to, but they do something dumb. But it's about the economy, stupid. It's always about the economy. People will stand behind their president of their country. for many things. But when they have nothing to eat, no place to stay, no electricity to heat their home, and no warm water to shower, they will not stand behind their president. And this is currently what's happening in Russia. And the only thing that can prolong the situation is if there's an outside enemy. And that outside enemy is not even Ukraine, because most Russians actually like the Ukrainians and the Ukrainians like the Russians. They both acknowledge that they're not the same, but they're not necessarily enemy peoples. They never were. So a war in Ukraine would be very unpopular with the Russians. The narrative of Russia is the West is making us Slavic brothers drift apart. It's the West, they're the bad people. That is the narrative. So, everybody lies. Putin lies to his people because he wants to get reelected. And Biden lies to his people because he wants to get reelected. Both sides lie for their own reasons. Because many times taking the position of truth or factuality isn't something you can gain a lot from. It's better to have an extreme position where people will scream and come to your corner, either here or there. But if you, like Creepy Ape said there, if you give a complex explanation to something that other people give a very simple explanation to, people are always like, that guy, he's weird, And look at the popularity of Biden and Putin. All-time lows. Economic problems. Nobody wants to vote for them. Problems on and on. Both presidents. So peculiar that at the time when they both have a really bad approval rating, boo-hoo, an enemy appears. We need to attack Iraq. We need to attack Afghanistan. We need to attack Vietnam. We need to attack Chechnya. We need to attack Ossetia. We need to attack Georgia. We need to attack Korea. You know what I mean? Every time when somebody has problems at home and they would like to get reelected, starting a war is a time-proven method of getting it done. And this is exactly what's happening here. If Russia were to invade Ukraine, they would not recover from that. Putin would lose the presidency. He would lose his legacy. There would probably be a democratic revolution in Russia. And in the end, they would probably retreat from there because they couldn't hold it. If they put everything they had in there and the West was unwilling to step in, they could take Ukraine. After 3 years and a fucking bloodbath, they could take Ukraine. But how were they then gonna hold it? How are they gonna hold tens of thousands of square kilometers of land populated with millions of people who are resisting them? I don't know. Holocaust number 2, kill all the Ukrainians. It's the same thing that so many societies have failed. Also the Germans and others. The problem is not winning the war. Americans, by the way, too. The problem is winning the peace. Of course you can beat Afghanistan. Of course you can beat Pakistan. Of course you can beat any stan. That's not the question. The question is, what do you do then? Why? And winning the peace is always harder than winning the war. Winning the war is easy because it's a show of force. The bigger guy wins. Boom. You don't need a lot of smarts. And the Americans are still at that stage where they're like, I'm so happy we're stronger. And the Russians are like, I'm so happy we're stronger. And the Europeans are like, yeah, we were all stronger once, but we figured out that winning the peace is actually a lot more difficult than winning the war. Of course you can destroy, but people that don't want you in their country, they're going to rebel against you for 2,000 years. Look at the Greeks and the Persians. The Persians tried to invade Greece literally for 1,000 years. Always failed. Greece is tiny. Persia was huge. Why? Because the Greeks never give up. Whenever the Persians turned around, they stabbed them in the back. No matter how long, no matter how many times. Hundreds of years they were stabbing the Persians in the back. And they would not give up until the Persians finally said, fuck this. It's the same thing that happened to the Romans in Teutoburg in Germany. They went there and the Germans were like, fuck you. Whenever we find you, we'll stab you. No matter how much you enslave us, you humiliate us, you defeat us, we will come back and we will kick you in the groins. Until the Romans said, look, Germany is fucking useless. There's a bunch of barbarians there that do nothing else but kick our shit. And they said, let's fucking leave. It's useless. And this is the underlying history lesson that you have to acknowledge, that you can defeat people, but it's very hard to break people. And historically, very few peoples have been completely broken. People have been knocked down. Jews have been knocked down. Now they're back. Austrians have been knocked down. Now they're back, you know. Greeks have been knocked down. They came back. So, starting a war is usually a somewhat naive leader's dream of quickly solving something while disregarding that it probably causes more problems than it's worth. And so far, if we're talking about big wars, the people that benefited from the war were always third parties. I cannot think of a war where in a longer time frame, or in a time frame for perpetuity, the aggressor benefited from the war. This of course becomes very difficult when it's like civil war or like genocide kind of thing, like all the Native Americans got killed, because genocide has its own dynamics. But if you're militarily talking about the wars and the bigger wars, every larger classical war that was started didn't really work out for the people that started it. World War I, World War II. And then you can pretty much list off all the invasions of anything that Russia and America ever invaded. Pretty much never worked out. Never was it to where they got in, invaded a place, turned the society around, and then made it a vassal state of themselves, and it worked. You know? That there's very few lessons in history where that worked. It only worked when the culture of the people that you're invading is extremely similar to you, and they don't necessarily see you as a different person, just as a different political leader. This is how Hitler was able to take Austria without fighting, because the Austrians were like, he's Austrian, we're all German people, kind of like, you know, it's not really an invasion, is it? And then it really usually isn't a war, you know. That's kind of like a merger with like militaristic means, maybe. I don't know. All right, guys. That was a very weird and interesting record label boss for today. Playing some music from Mike DeRoche there. He's made a piano album that is incredibly soothing, that you've been hearing. That you can also get on our store. If you're interested in our musicians' music, go to CountZeroRecords.com. If you want to, you can follow me on Reddit and Twitch and many other places. We have a wonderful YouTube channel where you can check out our music. If you want to get in touch with us personally, you can do so at our Discord at discord.gg/CZR. I'm going to go take a shower, and then I'll be in the Discord if you have any questions. I want to say thank you for being on the show for another week of Record Label Boss. Today in a little bit more of a talking segment because we had vowed to make Friday a little bit of a talk show. And I hope that next Friday we're going to be back with a talk show with other people other than me talking. We're going to keep reviewing, and I hope you're all having a great and wonderful time. Thank you, Lottie. Thank you, Foxy, Meg, and everybody who's watching on the various channels. If you have any questions to me about, world politics, economy, etc., you're welcome to join me on Discord and chat with me. I have absolutely no problem talking to people about stuff that I know. And as an economist, you have a certain tangent, I would say, with politics, because politics influences both sociology and economy greatly. I wouldn't say that I'm a political analyst, but I know a little bit here and there. And I have a lot of people. I love talking to people about their actual experiences. You can learn a lot about other countries from people that were actually there. All right, guys. I wasn't on Restream today. That's right. Thanks for being on here. Please do me the favor and go check out Karma's T's new single, and maybe buy some of their shit if you want to. Or if you want to see Miss Tina again, you can totally go to the YouTube channel. By the way, guys, we're working really hard on our YouTube channel and putting up more videos, sorting them, playlisting, putting them in playlists, and all kinds of stuff. And we're really trying to make that channel a place where there's a lot of very cool content that you can look at. There's over 300 Record Label Boss recordings on there. And that is because in the beginning, I was doing it on Reddit. And Reddit streaming time was like 45 minutes. So every show I had to start it 3 times, But I think in actuality, we are somewhere around, I don't even know. Show number 200, show number 250, I don't know, show number 150. It's hard to tell. I think I've got 150 since I started on Twitch. And before that, another 100 or so. Don't know. It's insane. One day I'm going to get to number all the Record Label Bosses I've been doing in these last 2 years. And this is why I want to say thank you to you all who have made this incredible journey possible. I am somewhat of the reverse Joe Rogan, I'm also friendly. I'm also bull-necked. I have a similar haircut. But I'm a little bit different as a person. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being on here with me. I wish you to have a wonderful weekend. Join us at discord.gg/CZR. Or if you go to our webpage at CountZeroRecords.com, there's a big button to go click on Discord. Join us there and chat with us. I'll see you on Monday on the next Record Label Boss. I love you all. You have a great weekend. And please, for the love of God, think for yourself and differentiate between entertainment and journalism, between fun and reality. All right? I love you all. See you on Monday.
It's not time to go home yet. Just stay with me for a moment. I never thought I'd find what I was looking for, but this feeling can't afford to leave. I came here with a 20 in my pocket. Didn't want to stay too long. I knew that I would drop it. Check myself out in the reflection of a liquor bottle. Saw a real forever.